Thank you, Russell. Hello, everybody. Hello, mai kako. How's it? Thanks to the Japanese Chamber for once again welcoming our cabinet, as we have done for the last 8 years, going around our community, explaining where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed. Um, because this is our eighth and final year of presentation before the Chamber, I wanted at least another hour and a half to 2 hours to explain all that we've accomplished and achieved. Just wanted to let you know how hard it was to whittle this down, you guys. First of all, mahalo. Thank you to all of you, all of our chamber members, to all of our cabinet and administration who is here today. As I reflect back on the last 7.5 years, with another about 8 months more to go, I'm deeply appreciative. When I look back at 2009, unemployment in the county of Hawaii was 11.2%. Today it's 4.1%. And that was done because a lot of you working together. There was a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unpredictability, and people were talking about not just a recession, but a double dip global recession. And I remember asking, what does that double dip mean? And they said, well, we could go through this for a prolonged period of time. But thankfully, we haven't. In the last 7.5 years or 8 years, we've gone through just a couple hurricanes, a couple tsunamis, when lava flow threatened to cut off 8,000 people, and dengue fever. I'd like to recognize, and I want to go through and talk about the hardworking people that work hard for you every day in our community. We stand here as a team. When people I remember when I first got elected, and people said, hey, how are you going to run government, county government? And I did what I did was ask all the CEOs, business leaders such as yourselves, how do you guys successfully run your business? And everybody said, pick really smart people. Surround yourself with really smart people. Empower them to do their job, hold them accountable, but let them do their job. And when I first took office in January of 2009, we held the first island-wide tsunami exercise. And people said, why you did that? We said, well, at the time I was 39, now 47. I was like, the last tsunamis was 46 and 60. It's not a question of if, it's just a matter of when. And in January of 2009, we had a first island-wide tsunami exercise. Little did we know in 2010 we'd have a 9.1 earthquake in Chile. And we had to evacuate the entire island of Hawaii, shoreline, coastline areas. And everybody, our police, our fire, civil defense did an outstanding job. 1 year later, in March of 2011, we had another island-wide evacuation. And all of these challenges in keeping our island healthy and safe, a lot of that responsibility goes to civil defense. So I want to thank our civil defense administrator, Darryl Oliveira. Thank you, Darryl, for all these years. Before we transition out, take care of mosquito, dengue, and we good. Okay, Darryl? So that was the goal. And we went around, and when we started this administration, it was about getting things done. Making sure that when we went out into the community and took our cabinet, that we just weren't talking about what we were going to do, but we talk about what we actually accomplished. And, when we first took office, our budget was at $403 million. And this administration is the first administration in the history of the county that cut the budget for 4 consecutive years. And I know the chamber really appreciate that. No. But it wasn't just about being fiscally conservative and prudently managing the county's budget. And I want to thank an outstanding finance director, Deanna Sacco, for leading the County of Hawaii's finance team and ably following through with Nancy Crawford as our director. We recently went up to San Francisco and made a presentation to Fitch, Moody's, Standard & Poor and Moody's. Fitch we did previous. And the goal was to reaffirm Hawaii County's high credit rating. When we look at the county, our presentation today here in 2016 is that we have a strong, stable county government, island of Hawaii. Strong management team, as affirmed by our bond rating agencies. When you look at the large employment sectors in our community, construction, tourism, agriculture, higher education, from where we are to where we were to where we are, we're very proud where we are today. When we look back, when people talk about the projects that the County of Hawaii did, it wasn't just to build projects. At the time, construction, one of our largest employers, was struggling. So moving that public sector dollar into the private sector kept people working, kept our working families employed, number one. Number two, because we were in such a challenging economic environment, we got very competitive bids. So all of the bids came in low. So the county got a great deal on the projects that were completed and invested in. And ultimately, the projects that were completed improved the quality of life for our entire island community. When we looked at agriculture, we made sure we invested. We didn't just talk about our farmers, but supported them. In tourism, I know George Applegate, I saw him earlier at Big Island Visitors Bureau. At the time, George said, please, I know you're making cuts, but do not cut tourism. I said, George, we're not only not going to cut tourism, but we're going to double down. Because when you went around the island and you listened to working families talk about the cuts that they had to endure at their hotels, at the businesses, whether it was rent-a-cars, whether it was activities, whether it was restaurants. So we at the county wanted to make sure that we invested, that we made sure that we tried to bring as many direct flights as we could into our island. And we've been successful in that along the West Coast, whether it was Seattle, Portland, San Jose, Oakland, bringing direct flights into Hawaii Island. We continue to work with the state of Hawaii to make sure that Kona International Airport does get a direct international flight. We've gone up to Washington, D.C., met with the decision makers, met with the Department of Transportation Director, Ford Fuchigami, met with Governor Ige. The money seems to have been appropriated. The legislature is working on it. The most recent news is that Haneda will open up 2 more slots. We're hoping to get one of those slots. Because when we lost that direct flight into Kona, we lost 1,600 seats a week, 60,000 seats a year. The average spending per international visitor is $2,000 per. So we're talking about $120 million out of our economy. So we continue to focus on that. So balance the budget, reduce the size and cost of government. I stand here in 2016 before you. We've operated your county government these last 8 years with less employees than when we took office. And that deserves a round of applause for all the hardworking people who made that happen. I see Warren Lee over here from Public Works, and some people tell me, hey, nice your parks. I go, the parks that we've all worked on, I go, never mind the parks, how about them roads? But I really want to thank our Department of Public Works. When we talk about infrastructure, we talk about transportation, we have 194,000 people on a 4,028 square mile island. The investment in that infrastructure in our community will create a thriving, vibrant economy for decades to come. The Daniel Kenoi Highway, although not ours, we supported and encouraged, and we've been there every step of the way. We just had our first groundbreaking without our distinguished United States Senator Daniel Kenoi. And I can go back and look at pictures from the time back in 2008, 2009, and every segment of the Daniel Kenoi Highway, over $250 million invested in connecting our Hawaii Island. And the last $57 million, the last 6-mile segment, just broke ground. And that will be completed next year. Unlike every county project, which will be completed before we leave office in December, somebody else going to untie that Mailele. And that's okay. Not here for politics in any way, but hopefully me won't know. But we're not talking about that. But that's going to be an amazing improvement to the quality of life of Hawaii Island. I think we all experience it already, but we know if the last 6 miles, the first 6 miles for some of us here, will really change how we work, live, and play on Hawaii Island. But to that end, I was going back looking. We've got about $160 million in road projects. Couple big ones coming up. The first would be Kapiolani Street right here in Hilo. And initially, when we proposed building Kapiolani Street, people said, hey, that's the state of Hawaii, University of Hawaii, let them build them. I said, wait. The University of Hawaii is our largest employer in East Hawaii. Everything good that happens at that university, happens here in East Hawaii, is good for our entire community. So initially they said 7, 8 million, and then of course engineers. And I thought when I went to school they was the smartest guys. I'm not so sure now. I mean, yeah. Figure all the guys who couldn't get in engineering school, we became lawyers. But now, after all these years of looking at engineers, I'm not so sure. Because 7, 8 million, ooh, get one river. Like, wow, we catch tadpoles smoky time. We know Heron River. But it ultimately became 12 and then 15 million. But that road, when it opens, when going to open, Warren? September, will alleviate and mitigate traffic congestion in all of Hilo. If you think about it, everybody comes down from Uka, Waikia High, Waikia Intermediate, Waikia Elementary. Everybody gets stuck on Kenoi and Kilauea. Everybody at the university. But now, from September, people will be able to go directly from Kauili, Lanikaula, straight into Moho'uli and downtown. And that's going to be a big project. In addition to that, oh, Brandon. How's it, Brandon? That's why I wasn't sure about the engineers, so I'm putting out a lawyer in public works. Everything has worked awesome since then. But in addition to that road, it's also going to open up 55 acres for student housing. You know, if you think about it, yeah, if you can see that Kapiolani Street Road, you look Mauka, all of that land will be opened up for student housing. And we know that if we can expand student housing at the University of Hawaii at Hilo, we can grow the university. Because the only limiting factor in our Center of Academic Excellence is availability of student housing. Another project out in Kona side is the Mamalohoa Bypass, which goes back multiple administrations. Literally, you know, when people say, you get one dispute, we're going to the Supreme Court. That road went to the U.S. Supreme Court. I want to thank, I know Molly Lugo's here, our corporation counsel, her wonderful team there that took that case to the Supreme Court, prevailed, and then Public Works will be building. When does that open, Warren? You see, Warren? He's so awesome, right? He's so awesome. Notice they all September. I don't know why the rush, you know. I don't know why the rush. No, but that project, when you think about it, it will allow, all the people you hear, for those of you not from Kona, everybody is always complaining about traffic in West Hawaii. Because although 83% of our resort development is in South Kohala, a lot of people live South Kona, Ocean View, Ka'u, and they travel this 2-lane road going through Kainaliu, Honalu Town. And this road will allow you to go from Kailua Kona all the way to Napopo. So it will alleviate the Mauka traffic and people who need to go farther south. It's a $35 million project, very complex. That's being completed as well. And we also realize that cannot only be West Hawaii. I was reminded one time, hey, Billy, don't forget our roads too. And I was like, no worry, balance the island. But Kamehameha Avenue was recently completed. I know a lot of people said, hey, what's going on down there? I said, no worry. As soon as he finished, people can stop grumbling and forget why they was mad in traffic. But if you notice, all of our roads have bike lanes. All of our roads have sidewalks because we want to encourage a healthy community. We want people to be walking, jogging, biking with their families in a safe way. So in terms of our road projects, we got Komohana we're working on. We did Kilauea. Kaumana. How about Kaumana Drive? That was all done in-house, by the way, by our hardworking county people. That was awesome. And I know when I first, sometimes there's a challenge in developing infrastructure if the infrastructure is developed in-house at the expense of private business and private workforce and employers. But we tried to make sure that we push out every available public dollar we have to keep everybody working. And what we cannot cover with the expense and revenue that we have, we try to do those projects in-house. One of those projects, of course, is, all of you have seen, is Ho'olulu Complex area. We started asking ourselves, we know every Merry Monarch, every county fair, every event, guarantee gonna rain. Guarantee. And we know people gonna get stuck in mud. We know our kupuna and children got to walk through grass and gravel in a muddy, unsafe, dangerous environment. So in a partnership between Parks and Recreation and Public Works, that project is now being completed. And they're going to complete, it's already finished paving behind Civic, yeah, already. And they'll be coming over to Kuava. That's the name of the street. Okay, it's not just the name of the park right next then. Okay, just kidding. How many of you guys knew it was Kuava Street? No, but it's going to pave it all the way across. And that open field, we worked a deal with the state to exchange. They turned over that property. Because Walter Victor and Wong Stadium's baseball complex, that field will be developed into a multi-purpose field. It'll be used for soccer and football. So that would be completed as well. And speaking of parks, I'd like to thank our hardworking director over there, Clayton Hanma. Next to him, Deputy Director James Komata. Aloha, you guys. Just like talk about parks briefly, real fast. Not really. I'm going to talk about it for. No. But I want to talk about it in a sense of community. That, and there's an economic advantage, right? When you have a beautiful community, people want to visit, people want to invest, people want to move there, people want to start a business, people want to create jobs. And those parks aren't just playgrounds or fields or covered courts, that they're safe havens for our kids in our community. I just want to point out, like, Panaeva. If any of you are familiar with Panaeva Park, when we took office, that was just one dark area. If you passed there at night, especially if it was raining and this hilo, there was absolutely no activity. There was no children out. There was no families. There was no coaches. Nothing. And yet, it's one of the highest concentration of families and children in East Hawaii with absolutely no recreational facilities. He said, hey, are we going to have Mitch Roth, our prosecutor, constantly hire more prosecutors and build a new prosecuting office in West Hawaii? What else are you asking me for, Mitch? Nah. But, and then our police department, we can hire more police, we can hire more prosecutors, we can build more jails, which will cost us infinitely more. Studies have shown that $1 in prevention saves $7 to $11 in treatment, rehabilitation, and incarceration. And you see some cities, some municipalities crippled by the cost of public safety. So in an investment in parks, if you go to Panaeva now, for $3 million, we have a huge playground, not just for the kids, but you got to make the playground big and have tables under the trees so the parents come, the grandparents come, and everybody hang out. And it's positive family time. We created 3 covered courts. People said, why 3 courts? It's Panaeva. 1 enough. 2 at the most. Said, no, whatever we build, we have a growing community. We might be on Big Island, but we made up of small towns. If you pass Panaeva any given night now, you'll see 3 food courts of whistles blowing, kids playing. And what does that cost the county of Hawaii? Absolutely nothing. There is no cost for those coaches. That's all volunteers. And you'll see volleyball, and you'll see basketball. And I asked Clayton, hey, keep 1 court open for the kids who don't play organized sports so that they can play too. And if you go over there, what do you see? Coaches just yelling about passing, dribbling, shooting? No, you see coaches talking about teamwork, sportsmanship, hard work. If you want to be something in your life, you guys, you got to work hard, and you cannot give up. The harder you work, the better you do. The more you put in, the more you get out. So that's what the investment in parks is. It's to make sure that tomorrow, as families come to move to Hawaii Island, because it's the last affordable place to buy a home. Oahu, median cost of a home is $700,000. I cannot even imagine that. The school teacher married to the police officer, how are you going to afford that? Maui, we see $650 to $675. In Hawaii Island, you can buy one beautiful home, for $279. I knew I had realtors in here. I never like saying everybody go not, you know what I mean? I was going to say $250, $275, but $279. I mean, if you're a working family with hopes and dreams, you can move here And we want to welcome you. We want to welcome growing families, but we got to have the infrastructure. Because if you ask the Kolohis, hey, how come you made them? I had a good coach. I had a good teacher. I had a safe place to be. We weren't overrun by drugs and gangs and violence. And that's what we're trying to create. So to that end, in Pahoa and in Puna, the fastest growing area in the state of Hawaii, you think about it, if you live Paradise Park, you had 8,800 one-acre lots. No gym, no park, no pool. And you could say that about Orchid Land, Aina Loa, Nana Valley, Leilani, Hawaiian beaches, Hawaiian Shore, they get a little bit. But we are currently in the process of building a 56-acre park that can have 2 baseball fields, 2 multi-purpose fields. That's the way for say as soccer and football got to share. But 2 multi-purpose fields, 3 covered courts, playgrounds, concessions, bathrooms, and walking paths. Going to be beautiful. And it's going to be an economic driver in Pahoa. All the small businesses over there are going to benefit because huge tournaments going to come. And our kids in Puna are going to feel proud. They're not going to feel left behind, or they're not going to feel like they always got to go Hilo or Kona for play on a nice park or in a nice field. That the other kids got to come play on their nice field. And when is that going to be completed, guys? Say it, bro. Say it. I've learned, you guys, so when you learn early on, people said, hey, the big island, government disconnected, east-west, we like 2 counties. And if I stand before all of you and you guys ask me, what is the accomplishment of your administration you most proud of? And we get fire department that has improved our fleet, built new stations, High fire station coming up, blessing in a couple weeks, new jet ski programs, on a big island, keep our people safe. Proud of every department, Department of Environmental Management. I love you, Bobby and John. No. Even over there, amazing stuff happening. Transit, we'll get to that. But I would say I'm most proud of what people don't talk about anymore. And people don't talk about having 2 counties anymore. And before, if you had thank you. Because if you went to a parks meeting or a road meeting or a public safety meeting before, the meeting would turn into a 2-county meeting. That within half hour, 45 minutes, right, Ross? The meeting would turn into, if we had 2 counties, we'd have better parks. If we had 2 counties, we'd have better roads. If we had 2 counties, we'd have better police and fire protection. So we said, what we going to do to that? Well, we got to make sure half our cabinet is there so that people need not drive 4 hours for a meeting. They can just go right down to the West Hawaii Civic Center and have a meeting. That sense of fairness, that sense of balance. And so we took our cabinet into every community. I think we've had about 60 cabinet community meetings so far, like this, where everybody's available to answer your questions. But back to parks. In the meantime, we also went around and made sure that every part of the island got what they requested. That wasn't political. It wasn't, hey, not that guy or that council person from that district. Made sure that every district was serviced because every family and every community deserved that. So Waimea is having another beautiful regional park being developed right now. That's going to finish in November. That's a close one. I'm going to untie that Mighty Lay even though the park not finished. Oh, done. Mighty Lay, Pule, Aloha celebration, out of here. That's some close one. Another investment we made, and some people said, and understandable, was the Hilo Municipal Golf Course. That facility has been deteriorating for some time. Built back in the 60s, believe, and everybody said we need to fix the roof, we need to fix the drains, we need to fix the pipes, and we finally said, you know what? So many people in our community utilize that facility. Let's invest in it so that it lasts another 50, 60 years. So that's a $17 million project. It's going to have a beautiful gathering area, not just a clubhouse and improved facilities, but families and functions can be held over there. I tried to go 2 stories, but they wouldn't let me. I don't know why. Because if you look, beautiful view from out there. And that's going to be completed in, see these guys, bro. Telling them, hey, come on, November. No. But all of these projects we talk about take time. know, Joanna has done wonderful work for the County of Hawaii and her team, and other engineers, architects as well. But you got to go through the process of designing, planning, EAs, EISs, go to council, get funding, put it out to bid, get contractors. And what I learned early on is, hey, why people get mad at the politicians or politics sometimes. And it's because people say something gonna happen and it doesn't happen. And people get mad. And when they ask, how come no happen? You end up doing that. Oh, it's because of a dispute between the general contractor and the subs. Oh, it was an opposition from the community. Oh, but really, we made it a point of our administration, no excuses. So if anything went wrong with any project, we all got together. We all went out to the site visit. We brought everybody to the table. And every challenge that we ran into, we were able to resolve just by communication and working together. Simple things that we learned that has been proven invaluable to us. I know for environmental management, we was going to go waste to energy because we were going to go organics and diversion and do more recycling. So when we came in, we recycled at 29%. Now we're at 37%. Think about this big island. We recycle 37%, and that doesn't count private recyclers, right? The Atlas Recycling or Kadota's Recycling. That's just County of Hawaii. So we were going to maximize our diversion, and people said, well, if you, the council, people, they said if you go maximum diversion, you might take away a source of fuel for waste to energy. So we said, okay, let's go waste to energy. So we spent a couple years working on that, to taking our solid waste and turning it into energy and providing a win-win for our community. Unfortunately, the Nextera HEI deal came together. Oil prices went from 200, 180 a barrel, 160, 150, down to $60 a barrel, and it just didn't pencil out for the County of Hawaii. So we pivoted again, and we're doing organics diversion, which will help us through recycling maximize our diversion and increase and prolong the life of our landfill here in East Hawaii and for the island of Hawaii. So that's a project we're working on, our recycling centers. So I want to thank our environmental management, Bobby and John. It's a tough department, and it's not the department that gets a lot of praise and glory like roads and parks. People celebrate. When we do the wastewater treatment plant celebration, nobody come. No more cameras. Miley Lee, even the kahu just come, aloha, and he's gone, you know. When you get the park, get the families, get on long pule, long celebration, plenty food, everybody hang out, all the kids play on the playground. But the wastewater one, nobody come to that, you know. But it's critically important. I remember one incident that really got me shook up. We had a break of a wastewater pipe at the Hilo Airport. And sewage, right? Wastewater. Everybody pauira. I'm not going to get descriptive, but we'll just call it wastewater and just leave it at that. But when pipe breaks, and the only way you can fix a wastewater system is you got to shut the system down so you can fix it. But if you shut the system down, all the sewage go in the ocean. As somebody who lives in our community, kids who love that ocean is a healing place for much of our island. I said, well, how much sewage going out? They said 200,000 gallons an hour. I said, how many hours going to take for fix? 4 hours at least. It's 800,000 gallons going to fire right into our ocean. Yeah. I was like, please get one other way. They said, no other way. Hey, pleading on the phone with our workers, talking to our contractors. Hey, these guys went in without shutting the system down. And was heroic. Was so heroic, I invited everybody to the office, made them breakfast, and said, I'm sorry, I wish I could give you guys one check, but all I can do is shaka and aloha you guys. But think about that. These guys went in with unbroken pipe. They had masks. You know, after a little while, you cannot see. They had to get rid of the mask, and they did them. And so the reason I say this is because behind what we very rarely see is some amazing people doing amazing work. And we've had a few accidents through the years, but we have a wonderful team doing great work over there. And I constantly tell myself when I see them, remind myself to tell them, hey, thanks you guys. And when people talk about leadership and management, you can talk about a lot of different things, right? Other guys saying, leadership is about setting that vision, giving people the resources, setting benchmarks, measurable outcomes, holding them accountable. But I've come to the conclusion that much of leadership and management is just saying, hey, thanks, hey, mahalo, hey, I so appreciate what you guys do. And when I was running around a lot and riding on bikes, I would go through the parks and I would jump off the bike, or I would stop, and I would hug and say thank you to every Parks and Recreation employee. And sometimes they dirt and like shake hand, they try to give you the knuckle, and I'd always give them a hug. And next time you go back, oh, beautiful the park. And that's not from yelling. That's not from telling Clayton, hey, tell your maintenance guys, do this and do that. It comes from just telling people, thank you, mahalo. Speaking of transportation and getting people around, I want to thank Tiffany Kai for her wonderful work at expanding our transportation system. I actually get one whole divider on every department and the latest information. Thanks, staff. Yeah, I like the latest, and I read them all thinking, I cannot even remember all of this. But the expansion of services to our Helion bus system has been amazing. When we had Hurricane Isel come in, shut our community down, Tiffany rerouted the buses. We had them bus going on every street in the neighborhoods, even for voting on the day that a special election was held. When the lava threatened to cut off Pahoa and 8,000 people, Tiffany stepped up and rerouted our transportation system to make sure that nobody was going to get left out and nobody was going to get left behind. We're currently building a new transit base yard in partnership with Public Works that will hopefully improve the services that transit provides. They're implementing a paratransit system that we voluntarily, federal court decree. Nah, just kidding. We have to do, but we're doing. And one person came from Maui, filed suit, and went to court, and we had to create a new segment to our transportation system. But instead of arguing about it or fighting about it, we just said, hey, let's do it. And I tell you guys just one quick and talking about restructuring transportation. I'm from Kalapana, southeast part of the island. So we grew up with the volcano, grew up with lava. The eruption started in 1983. I was in 9th grade. I graduated in 1986, barely. And then, I know you guys heard that story already. But 1988, 1989, I go back to school. I hitchhike from Puna every day to HCC, to UH Hilo. And people telling me, "Bah, what you doing? Guys would pick me up hitchhiking. What you doing? Where you going?" "Oh, I going college. I going to school." "For real? What you gonna be?" "Oh, I'm gonna be one lawyer." "No, for real, kind. What you gonna be?" Like, we already will pick you up. You don't need lie. We're gonna give you the ride already. And but I hitchhiked every day. And I would go home, and I had a job in KL at Snappy's Pizza. But wasn't enough for pay for school. So I met this guy who told me about Phoenix rubelinis. I don't know if you guys know palm trees, but this one palm tree would pay for my college. I would go people's house, knock on their door, buy them at $10 on foot, and I would sell them to Puna Certified Nursery, Mrs. Dorothy Saxby, Malcolm's mom. And she told me how to get a general excise tax license. And told me how to make sure I re-landscape people's yard, not just take the tree. Put baby phoenixes back. And that's how I paid for school. And I left for the University of Massachusetts by myself, with no family, nobody, even my mom. And for those of you who know my mom, it's beautiful, Hauli. Right? So she would, "Honey," she would talk real like, "Honey, do you know anyone up there?" And like, "No, Ma." "Do you have any friends up there?" "No, Mom." "Honey, how are you going to do this?" I said, "I don't know, Mom, but if I just work hard, I know this going to work out." And I went up in 1990. I left in August of 90 to pursue my dream of being a lawyer. And I knew if I graduate UH Hilo At that time, everybody was going law school, so it was hard to get in. People was filing lawsuits because they wasn't getting into law school. Crazy, huh? And so I figured, hey, if I go to the East Coast, the University of Massachusetts, I went on exchange from UH Hilo and then transferred in. But I knew if I go far away, they might get confused, and they did. People said, University of Massachusetts, that's like Harvard, huh? MIT. I tell them, same thing, bro. Same thing. We all party together, all of us. And, but the point is, in October of 1990, Kalapana got covered. And I never go back for 3 years. So I go up to Massachusetts, and I meet my wife, and 25 years ago, up in Massachusetts. Takako. So poor thing, everybody looking at her. They're going like this, 1990. Takako, you've been with him for 25 years. She going straight heaven, we all know, right? We all know. But think about it. In 1983, the lava started. In 1990, covered Kalapana. In 7 years, the lava went 6 miles. 7 years. And we seen them. We used to surf. I used to walk past the civil defense guy because I knew who he was. I would walk in, go surf. And 7 years, 6 miles. And June 24th, 26th, I forget the day, 27th. June 27th, one little puka at Pu'uo pops open. Just a small puka at the base. And in 4 months, the lava went 11 miles. Try imagine that. Our only experience prior to this was 6 miles, 7 years. The next thing we know, lava goes 11 miles in 4 months. And everybody worked incredibly well together. We built one road through Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. We built one road from Nana Valley to Hawaiian beaches to Paradise Park in how many work days, Warren? 10. 14 days. Try imagine that. If I was to build it right now, we were all to build it right now, it would cost us $250 million and take at least 20 years, guaranteed. EA, condemnation, right-of-way, protest. Can you imagine? In less than 2 weeks, that road was completed, and a community came together. And I think that best exemplified the type of team we have serving all of you in our community. So thankful. I remember just before the flow stopped, there was a resident, his lava coming to his house. I mean, not that far away. Him put up on berm. You know, he was trying moving his machines, and people were mad. Hey, this guy building on berm with his machines. I said, hey, that's his machine, his land. If you had on shovel, you would move them. If you had on machine, you would do that too, right? But the lava, I mean, we're thinking like tomorrow, maybe come hug them. You know, hey, you guys evacuated, you ready, everything moved out, and the lava went stop. It was one of the most amazing things that got to witness. But what it did was it brought the community of Pohoa and Puna together. And if there's one thing that I really am amazed at, is when people come together and work together, amazing things happen. And that's been the lesson of this administration. Back to 1990 and me and Takako. No. Look at her. You better just stop right now. But what that lesson taught me, going to University of Massachusetts, trying to figure out how to get to D.C. because I wanted for work for Senator Kenoi. I know that'd be key. So I joined this organization called SAFA, Students Advocating Financial Aid. 1 year later, they made me the president. Next thing you know, I was lobbying for the reauthorization of the Higher Education Act in Washington, D.C. on behalf of the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. And I really wouldn't do that with them because I never had money, and financial aid would help me out. And by being their advocate, I was able to understand the financial aid process a little bit more. And then coming home and getting into law school, you know, and then graduating and serving as a deputy public defender. The lessons that I learned growing up was always very simple. I was taught to me by my parents. And it was work hard for everything you like. No ask for anything. If you get something, give, never take. So even when I was in law school, I worked Legal Aid Society, Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation. I never did work for a bank, but I love my bankers. How you guys? First of all, you guys the best. No, but for a financial institution, but always with the public interest in mind. It's honored to come home 15 years ago and work in this community, work with all of you, raise my beautiful family. So honored. My children got to grow up on Hawaii Island. And all of you have treated them so well. And at every step, I remember when I ran for office, I remember I talked probably to each of you in one different talk story at one different time. And I remember some of you going, who are you again? And why are you running for office? And I've never held elected office before. But I looked at all of you and I explained who I was, my values, my vision, and why I believed I could put together one team and do amazing things for our island. Then I had re-election 4 years later. I was like, wow, like my football coach, my mentor, I had to run against in my community, our community, and was so sore and was so hard. But the values of always giving, never taking, and never giving up. And in that campaign, I told every supporter, every endorser, every union, I don't like hear one negative word out of anybody. If I see anybody put one negative mailer out or say something disrespectful or pilau, I gonna come visit you and hold you accountable. I said, I respect Harry, and politics on our island should be done with respect and aloha. You should prevail because of your vision, your values, and what you do, not what you say. And I stand here in 2016, in my last year as mayor for the county of Hawaii, to tell all of you I would never disrespect our county, disrespect you by taking anything. That our county, our administration, I ask everybody to give. United Way, we ask everybody in our administration and cabinet to give. A couple years ago, when they tried to give me one raise, $23,000, I refused to take it and gave it to the United Way. Never make a big deal about it. I know Takako said, you out of here, get out of my house, you're not living here anymore. How dare you give away $23,000? It's like one second job. But wasn't even one question. Never make one press release, just did them. Because that's how he grew up. But again, never giving up. So I'm here to thank all of you for supporting me, Takako, the kids, and our wonderful administration, and allowing us to serve all of you this last 7.5 years. And people ask, what you going to do for the next 8 months? Exactly what we did for the last 7.5. Everybody is held accountable every week. We all work hard, every project, every program, every service. We submit our last and final budget on May 1st. There'll be no property tax increase in that budget, and that's only because Deanna guys are awesome. Before when I first started working with budgets, we'd go line by line. How do we cut this? How do we cut that? How do we save this? Now I realize just look at them every 2 weeks and go, good luck on the next one. Good luck on the next one. And by the time they come back, balanced. No. But we look forward to finishing up very strong. And hopefully, after I retire in politics in November of 2016, I look forward to continue to call Hawaii Island home and continue to have my children be proud that they live in this community. Mahalo, you guys. Thank you very much. And God bless. Aloha.
Almost forgot I was the MC listening to his stories. Isn't he a wonderful storyteller? Very entertaining and informative. When he started speaking, you might have seen me crawling around like one little crook, going to every table. I forgot to mention that there's cards and pens on your table if you wanted to write down a question for the mayor. Please do so. Raise your hand when you have your question. We have runners that will come and collect it from your table. So at this time, if you have anything to ask the mayor, please raise your hand and our runners will pick up the cards from your table.
Or you can just raise your hand.
Oh yeah,
Yeah?
you can do that.
Thanks, Russ.
Remember one time we did silent auction?
Oh,
live
hey, yeah,
auction?
hey. Hey, one time I did on silent auction with Russ, I recall. Yeah, I have come to find out he was on Superstar when he was Little League. You guys went to the World Series? Huh? They won a World Series or something, huh? What year was that? 1961. You know how you always, our town is made up of amazing people, yeah? You know, you find out somebody passed you, they tell you about there's a black belt master, was an Olympic gold medalist. Russell, it was good fun, that one. Anybody get any questions? Projects, budget, investment in our economy? Yes, aloha. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Correct. Yeah. Well, yeah, we are definitely encouraging recycling. Not like Japan. When I go to Japan with the kako, it's just amazing how everybody get like seven, places to dispose of your trash. Very specific, very well sorted. For us, we have our sort station. So solid waste is brought in, and it's sorted at the Hilo landfill. So what we can divert, we do at the landfill. But it would be great if more people were more diligent and committed and dedicated to self-recycling. But we're starting to see it. There's value in recycling now. So our numbers are going up in terms of increased recycling. But it would be nice if everywhere you went, there were multiple options. We try to do it at special events. We try to make sure that every event that the county sponsors or is a part of, that we have recycling bins out. But thank you for that. We certainly can do a better job. Oh, yeah. Okay. You like read them, ba? Astronomy is a significant economic and social engine in Hawaii County, contributing 91 million in economic impact and educational skilled 21st century jobs for our keiki. Yet the county has been visibly absent and silent in its support of astronomy. Is or what can a county do to see that astronomy survives on Hawaii Island? We can't count on a state so far removed from our community to support this very important industry for our island. I would disagree with that representation that the county has been visibly absent. I think we've made a commitment to astronomy. We've made a commitment to the 21st century knowledge-based economy. You've heard me repeatedly talk about how 21st century knowledge-based economy, we've talked about that, investing in infrastructure, broadband. We talk about astronomy. We're not just talking about a telescope. We're talking about creating one whole new sector in our economy. We've talked about diversifying our economy for years now. We know we cannot keep depending on construction and tourism because they're boom and bust cycles of our economy. We certainly support astronomy. I think I've been to almost every astronomy event for our kids. I've gone out to Keck. In research and development, we've tried to make sure that we've supported them. We've asked early on, I was asked early on, I think on my first debate on live television, when they asked about how do you feel about astronomy on Mauna Kea? And I said that we, Native Hawaiians, believe that astronomy, celestial navigation, is in sacred science. Mauna Kea is a sacred mountain. It's appropriate that a sacred science should occur in a sacred place. The issue of the 30-meter telescope, what happened isn't because of the lack of visitable support from the county. That was the Hawaii State Supreme Court that invalidated permits and sent it back. No amount of testimony or visible support would change that fact. It's a real challenge now. The Supreme Court has stated that the 30-meter telescope has to go back, go before the Department of Land and Natural Resource, go through a contested case hearing, and secure their permits. I think we all could have communicated better. The university, the state of Hawaii, the county of Hawaii, people in our community, we've all could have done a better job from the beginning to the very end. I see Roberta, I think Roberta and Richard did an amazing job of taking the 30-meter telescope and showing our community how that benefits our children. And I think people in our community need to understand that when we talk about high-tech or new industry, we've got to relate that to how that helps our working families and people in the community. It cannot be an astronomy sector that exists within an astronomy area. That astronomy got to be part of our curriculum. It's got to be part of our K through 12 schools. But we still are a premier destination for astronomy in the entire world. We never lose that because a 30-meter telescope got bumped or remanded from the highest court in the state of Hawaii. We never lose that. We still have the premier site for astronomy in the world. That's not one delusional statement, that's some fact. But I think we just have to, all parties have to work together better, communicate better. What is the status of getting Hilo designated as an international airport? I think Hilo is an international airport, huh? Yeah, I think when you talk about the future of Hawaii Island, what is amazing is our capacity. People don't realize we get 2 international airports. No other island has that. We get 2 deep draft harbors, Hilo and Kauai High. So the potential for growth is amazing. We just got to grow smart, grow well, grow strategically. I don't like get stuck in traffic like Oahu. How many of you went Oahu lately? That's no fun up there. And when that rail start coming, it's only at like Waipahu Pro City, in the middle of nowhere. When that rail start hitting Kalihi, start coming into downtown, think about it, you guys. If you in Honolulu, you headed to the west side, right, after work. If there's an accident on Nimitz, King, H1, anywhere, it's a disaster. Imagine when they dig up whole lanes and start building that. Construction gonna last for not a decade plus. Everybody gonna be moving here. So I'm gonna go into the real estate field after, because, quality of life, you guys. Before, I say this, when I first started, I wanted to be first. I'm competitive. Why always Oahu 1, Maui 2, Kauai 3, Hawaii Island 4? Oh, it's getting me mad. Tourism, length of stay, amount of visitor spending, film office, film production. I'm like, I'm going to do whatever we can to invest and support, grow our university, be number 1. Then I started thinking, because it was during the recession, you scared. Family's not working, you don't know what's going to happen. People come to you brokenhearted, shattered dreams. You're like, oh, man, we got to do everything we can. But when you get out of the recession and we're in the boom now, you realize, I don't like being number 1, I've always wondered, how much construction jobs just to keep everybody who called Hawaii Island home working? How much tourism numbers we need just to keep everybody working? Because if we go too far, we got to import workers. When we import workers, we stress the cost of housing, we impact our infrastructure and our social services. So how much is just right? How much is enough? I don't mind before if I can drive down Lele Evi 4 miles lunchtime and swim in peace and quiet. You guys ever try that? It's awesome, bro. Drive down to 4 miles Lele Evi, jump in the water, throw your clothes on, nobody around, no more traffic, right on the side of the road. Beautiful. Well, you can do that. So, yeah, we got to grow. Yeah, we got to invest. Our economy got to expand. But this is the last Hawaii we get. So we got to make sure we do them right. We good? Any more? Oh, Russell, I was just waiting for you to come up, man. I was just wondering how long it was going to take. Okay, one more. Like one more. Oh, you was waving that. Like this one going to be hot, I think.
Ooh, burning.
Oh. Okay. You know that last one? So was like, okay, here we go. I should have. No, I'm just kidding. Will there be solar at any of the new public projects? The answer is yes. We realized that as the renewable energy leaders, with Mike guys at Geothermal, Puna Geothermal Ventures, I mean, we had 30% renewable. And we had a state talking 100%. Yeah, come on. The state wouldn't be where they at if they don't use our numbers. Okay, that's the bottom line, bro. We get hydro, Eluku River, we get solar, wind, ocean thermal energy conversion, pilot project, Nelha. So we made sure, hey, we cannot talk about solar. We got to do solar. So our fire stations and our police stations, solar. Now, both the county building in Hilo and the county building in West Hawaii, the West Hawaii Civic Center, all solar. In fact, West Hawaii Civic Center is a hallmark of ours, very proud. It was a $1.8 million, no cost to the taxpayer, third-party power purchase agreement. So if you look at the West Hawaii Civic Center, the whole top of the parking structure is solar. That's a 250 kilowatt photovoltaic system. So it's energy free there. So if you're starting to see, we got electric outlets now, the West Hawaii Civic and Hawaii County buildings. So we are making sure that all of our projects, as much as possible, are solar based so that we're not just talking renewable energy, but actually building and doing it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Aloha.
Just imagine